So I'm just at a Costa Coffee by myself now because my first scene was at 11, but my next scene is at 5.
Have you ever looked in the mirror and not seen yourself? Like you got lost somewhere along the way? Well, maybe you just need some help getting back. But that's not something they tell you these days. I never wanted to be that girl, but I'm stuck on this rural street, and my smile won't come but my hair still curls. And I guess that's how they recognize me. I'm not actually here.
Let me go ahead and explain the video a bit. So what had happened, let me rewind. In early September, I had like a producer or producer-director contact me about a film that they were doing. So they ended up contacting me, and they thought, oh, your look would be really good for this like really small role that we have in our film. And the only thing is that it was a Chinese cast, Chinese crew, and the film is entirely in Mandarin, which not necessarily my native tongue, but in addition, it was Mandarin, but you needed a northern Chinese accent, which is nearly impossible. So I go on and talk a little bit more about the whole acting bit somewhere in the middle of the video, but kind of just wanted to show you a little behind the scenes of how that went.
You with the bright eyes, I envy. Cold and bitter, that's what I've come to.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous throughout the ride, but it always helps to see the English countryside. It's so different from London, and there's always plenty of sheep.
All right next to me, but it's like I'm a ghost. I'm not actually here anymore. I've forgotten what I came here for. You with the bright eyes, I envy you. Cold and bitter, that's what I've come to.
Okay, so I'm in Hastings now. I would be nervous, but the ride's just been so long that I'm kind of more tired than whatnot. Somebody's supposed to come and pick me up, which is weird because like they knew when I was going to arrive, so. But anyways, we'll see who comes. So I got a little time to tour Hastings while they were still shooting the previous scene. And like I told you, it was all an all Chinese cast, so sometimes it was a little isolating. Like I found myself alone sometimes. That camera, originally, I thought it was like a 20,000 pound camera. It's like 75. And so when it started raining here, everybody crowded around the camera. So we're filming some stuff now. That's going to be like a little funeral pit, and then we have camera people here.
That's what I've come to.
Okay, starting the funeral. I have no idea if you can see me, or I don't know. Okay, I think it's turned the right way. That is a wrap for today. I need to pee. It's really cold. There's no speaking today, but just kind of staring at the fire, being all sad. Got a little direction, but I wasn't exactly sure why I was sad. I think I was just in a dream. But it was really fun. It was really nice to see like everyone work together and the lights come on and stuff. So, hey, that's it. It is actually the day after. I was so tired when I got home. I was hungry and I was tired and I was kind of cold. But yeah, I thought I would record how it was the first day. So really, I did not know that that scene existed. It was probably not great communication, but I guess it was the last scene of the movie, and it was supposed to be really important because it was like a Chinese funeral scene. It was supposed to be symbolic of maybe, you know, the burning of her memories and of her horrible memories. And I was going because it was like right by the beach and you had to light, there was this fire. And so I was waiting for all of the other actors to come because I really wasn't sure what was happening. Like the director was explaining it and I was like, okay, like what is going on here? Why am I here? Like this has nothing to do with anything. And they were like, oh, well, like the whole thing's actually a dream. And yeah, so it was interesting. But essentially what I had to do was I had to look at the pot of flames and look really sad, and then look out at the ocean and also look really sad. And I was the only one doing it, and I didn't really understand it, but I was like, okay, cool. Like, so it turned out to be just like a me scene. I didn't talk or anything. And it was really funny because the rocks were really slippery and they had this like 20,000 pound camera on them. So when it started raining, everybody like, everybody just huddled over and protected the camera. So that was cute. And it was just getting quite dark. Like it was a little bit rainy. It was getting quite dark. The fire wouldn't stay lit because they were only using newspaper at first, and then eventually they had these like briquette things that they brought in. I don't know, like when they called action, it was like a dream. Like I thought that I would be nervous. Like I was very nervous about just like, you know, like looking sad or like looking pensive because I think a lot of times that comes off as bored in my face. So I have no idea how that actually turned out because they also like didn't want me to emote or like they didn't want me to move too much because initially I was kind of like grabbing my jacket. I was kind of pretending like I was cold. I was, you know, moving my hair a little bit, and they were like, okay, like, you know, that's really normal in real life, but on the camera it seems like maybe like a little bit jittery, like it wasn't coming off. And so the direction was to kind of like more or less stay still, like look at the fire pit, look at the ocean. And so they did a wide shot, a couple of wide shots, and then they did a close-up. So they were by the fire looking at me, looking at the fire. Yeah, I don't know. I thought I would be more nervous. Like thoughts that I was thinking of was just like, you know, my mom passing or like close friends dying even though they weren't dead. So like kind of channeling that. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't want to do too much because I really wasn't sure what exactly was happening. Like I wasn't sure why I was sad. So hopefully it just didn't come off as disinterested. But I think, I mean, overall, like it was just me in the scene, which was really cool. And it was like, I looked in the fire and I was thinking about, you know, my mom, which I guess was supposed to be sad, but more so like I was like, man, she would have found this to be so cool. She would have been so proud. She would have, you know, and I almost smiled in the scene because of that. Because you know, I've wanted to like do films since forever. I've wanted to be in films. I've wanted to act in films for forever. And you know, I did like some extra stuff and like production assistant and eventually like producer for some stuff, but I was never really like on camera as I do for YouTube. And like, yeah, like when they called action, and then especially when the camera was like up close, I like could really look into the fire and like think like I would have been nervous had I not been just so like, you know, like 15 minutes of fame, not that it's fame, but like it goes by really quickly. Like you'll get nervous over it and you'll get nervous while prepping, but like the magic goes away so quickly. Like from, action to cut. That happens really quickly. And so, yeah, it was more like, I was just like, this is so amazing. This is so cool. This is just really what you've wanted to do your whole life. So I was I was having a blast. I was like, wow, this is so cool. Well, consequently, though, it is tomorrow that I have both my scenes. So I have the talking scene with Ling at the beginning, which is really the opening scene. How many minutes is this? Okay, which is really the opening scene, and then I have another scene with Xiaoma, which is like her friend rescuer. Yeah, I'm nervous literally about the first line, because the first line, like, they wanted me to do this with like a northern Chinese accent. And that's interesting because not only, I grew up speaking Cantonese, but I did learn Mandarin, but I learned Mandarin in Taiwan. That's going to be very different from a person who's, northern China. And so I've been listening to, I had them, just kind of read through the couple, because I only have a couple of lines. I have like 5 lines. So the director read it through for me in that accent, and I've just been playing it over and over and over. Like whenever, if I'm on a train, if I'm on a whatever, if I'm on a walk, like I've listened to it over and over. And you would think that mimicking a voice, like, that's just like what parrots do. Like that's not hard. You would think that mimicking sounds that you could hear would be easy, and it is not. It really took like sleeping with it, waking up to it, sleeping with it, a couple days before like sounds started, before I started being able to replicate sounds. 在哪来着, like that bit like was so hard. And I'm most nervous about the first line, because the first line is where I think I sound the most Western. I have a Western accent. I sound like I'm a white person speaking Chinese, like especially in that first line. But I've really been working on it, just like when to cut it, when to, because it's not normal Chinese either, like because of the accent. So you can't really read it as a dictionary would. You have to know like, oh yeah, like, people up north, they pronounce this with like this accent, not like this accent. Yeah, and so I'm most nervous about the opening scene. I think I sound like a child, actually, sometimes. So I'm kind of working on, like, just building that, like, okay, like, you're boss lady, like, let's do this. So I'm most nervous about the first line. Honestly, I've worked so much on it that sometimes, like, when you're filming, you always worry about wasting other people's time. Like, oh, there's the director's time and the producers and all of the, people all around you. Like, every time you mess up, you mess up their time as well. Like, it's longer for them. But, like, honestly, I've been practicing so much that I think I would, to my best ability, do it justice. I think it's pretty good. I think it's almost there. I think it's like 90%. I think some bits are like 95%, and then like that opening line is still like 90%, and maybe it'll come tomorrow. I don't know. But yeah, I think like maybe the harder parts will be tomorrow when I get direction from the director. I'm not totally used to doing that. I mean, I understand it from a director's perspective of like, why don't you try the line this way? Why don't you try the line that way? And hopefully I can do that. It's more difficult when it's not in your native tongue, so Mandarin, and then also to be focusing on that accent all the time. And then to be able to be like, oh, why don't we take this in like a, a more comical direction, or a more, I want you to be sadder, I want you to be happier, I want you to, like those slight, like inflections or those slight changes is going to be harder because I have to concentrate on the accent, and hopefully I like have sucked in the accent enough and have internalized it enough to be able to like use it, but then be able to change it as well, and hopefully I can I can take direction. I think probably I'm used to like maybe giving direction. I'm hoping, yeah, anyways. But we're gonna be filming in an old butcher shop tomorrow. And I was talking to the production designer last night, and she was like, "Oh, like I can't wait till you see this room that I've designed." So I'm very excited about that. Call time is 9:30. So I'm gonna try to sleep tonight because I'm just old. I have like eye bags that just like to just stay forever. So I'm gonna do that. I'm like editing right now. I just think like editing sometimes chills me out, like, because when you're doing that, you can't focus on anything else. But yeah, I think that's it for today. I'll try to do an update tomorrow as well, after the shoot. So 9:30 call time, and then I don't think we're done until like 7, maybe. I think. All right. So I'm just walking. I have this bouffant thing going. Just trying to put some more volume into my hair. Walking over to the station now. Call time is 9:30. Yeah, I didn't need an alarm clock because I was too nervous. Did like half of a morning yoga workout and then was like, I'm late. I always have these like dark circles now. And like the more that you cover it, the more ugly it looks. Or just the worse that it looks. So yeah, hopefully. We are here. Traffic this morning. Glad I'm not driving. And who is drawing a mural. So we're going up to where the scene is. They're like, be careful. And I'm like, okay, well, let's vlog this. Jesus. Sorry. Okay.
It's very narrow. We're trying to get the table from downstairs, but we couldn't. Yeah, so
Okay.
we had no choice.
I'm like really bad with stairs, and I don't know why I'm just filming this. Sorry. Hi. Hi, Sean. Good morning. Oh my god! Oh, this looks so good. Yeah, let's flip this around. Oh, look, they got a vegan breakfast for me. The expensive camera. So we have a little bit of a dress change. Actually fits quite well. We're lit by candlelight today. So. Okay, vegan sushi. Having pizza. I had my vegan sushi a little bit earlier. There's a lot of downtime in the film. So look, I made the bright day, but that is the light going into the apartment. And that is the store that I want to get a vintage dress in. My first scene was at 11, but my next scene is at 5. So, yeah, I don't know, they just wanted to go and like get a coffee or something. So I was walking around for a bit, but then it got cold and it got really windy, so I had my book. So, yeah, so we're shooting in there, and then this is the very natural looking bathroom that everybody warned me about, but I still went in there, so that's okay. Okay, so we did the second change, but the thing is they didn't tell me that they had clothing for me, and so I'm not wearing like a tank top of any sort. So it's pretty clear. Much in this scene, I greet someone who's at the door, and then I talk about the door. I don't talk about the door. I was just nervous because when it was outside. So it is now nighttime. Okay. And just another scene. Inviting them into the house. Thank you. I'm just vlogging this. Hi. Sound guy, like taping the mic. Sorry, taping the mic onto me. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed that video, and it was a blast to do. It was a blast shooting it. I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. I don't necessarily know where to take it from here. I mean, I think I'm old enough to understand that this kind of a thing, it doesn't usually go anywhere, especially like in like media and acting and stuff like that. If you don't have the connections from the beginning, and maybe went to school for it and developed the connections that way, it's very hard to break into the industry. But I signed up for acting classes in the upcoming year. Yay. But I did a little bit of that. I did a little bit of that in university as well. I'm not really looking necessarily to get anything out of it, like career-wise. I think it would be really fun to do and really fun to learn from people. And yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't have these like illusions of grandeur as I did when I was much younger. So I think I just like it for the experience. Yeah, it's just, it's like hard to like, I always think that there's very few things that it turns out as well as it does in your mind, and that you like it as much as you do as you had hoped for. And this, smashed it out of the park. It was so amazing. And even like when I was in the scenes and I was doing it, I knew that it was so amazing. Like I knew that this stuff doesn't happen often, and this is so fun and amazing. But, coming out of it, I also know that like, yeah, it's very hard to like be like, okay, now what do I do? How do I like further this? Usually it doesn't, and that's okay too. Yeah. Okay, cool. It's really cold. So yeah, I will see you all again in the next video. Ciao. Bye.
Run away with you, like I don't know nothing when I got to. wasting my time.